Hello dear students, very warm welcome to Dr. Ahmed YouTube channel. In today's video we shall be talking about the procedure with which one is able to write the critical appreciation, and the poem that I have selected for this purpose is Toufiq Rafaat's poem Arrival of the Monsoon. First of all, let's talk about the title as well, that it is about the something which is going to come from somewhere, and that's why the word arrival has been used. And everybody knows that monsoon is a kind of weather in the summer season that comes especially in order to reduce the summer heat and then to provide some water resources as well. So in that way, one can say that monsoon is not permanently existing kind of phenomenon. It comes from somewhere, but it brings a big change. So let us talk about this poem, how to write critical appreciation of the same. The very first thing is that we should talk about Toufiq Rafaat, the poet. Yes, the students can include the birth time and the death time or the places in one or two sentences, but mainly they should be talking about the kind of specific characteristics of the poet Toufiq Rafaat. And among these characteristics, one of them is that he's a Pakistani poet, and that goes to show that one can say what makes him Pakistani actually, and that is the being a person who writes about the Pakistani people in Pakistani English in a particular Pakistani style, and that is why he's called as the Pakistani poet. And then one should work on and talk about the kind of themes which possibly or most probably are found in Toufiq Rafaat's poetry. Toufiq Rafaat's poetry is most of the time about nature, phenomenon of nature. He talks about the nature of man as well as that of the nature's nature, and then discusses and incorporates both of these things together. As far as the kind of thing is concerned about the culture, and that is about Pakistani culture. He talks about the men and women of Pakistan, their habits, their traditions, their customs, and how the way of life is determined because of these cultural things. One of the very significant thing about this poet Toufiq Rafaat is that he's most of the time writing in symbols and images. That means that he uses images in his poetry. He constructs images by different details of nature and then employs symbols as well in order to convey specific meaning. And then the arrival of monsoon is a particularly this type of poem, Arrival of the Monsoon, that it is bringing many images of rain before us, and with which we can understand what that arrival of monsoon means. And secondly, we also understand symbolically what is the poem like about. It is one can think about the timing of the poem, and that is in the 1947 it goes to discuss about. And most of the people have pointed out that it is about the political history of Pakistan as well. We shall be seeing while we are in the poem. First of all, let's complete our discussion that in order to understand Toufiq Rafaat's poetry, we need to understand the symbolic interpretation of his poetry. We need to capture where the symbol is and what kind of employment of that symbol is going to be. I mean, what does the poet want to say about this? And then definitely we have to label Toufiq Rafaat as a poet, that poet which possibly is writing about the Pakistani people, Pakistani culture, but in English language. And as English is the colonial language here in Pakistan as well, so that is why the literature being produced in English can be termed as the Pakistani Anglophone literature, thus making it a part of post-colonial literature as well. So in this terminology, we need to understand who Toufiq Rafaat is going to be. Let's enter into the poem and see what this is. I have divided the poem into certain sections. These sections are comprised of basically a rough stanza form, which the poet has also indicated. 3 lines are present in every section of the poem. I should not call it stanza because stanza formation is a different thing. Lines have been combined in that way. And if you look at the ending sounds of these lines, you cannot find any type of regular rhyme scheme there. For example, the ending word of the first line is wind, then the second line is go, and the third line is lands. All these words do not rhyme with each other, so that's why we don't have any particular rhyme scheme employed in this poem. However, we have a set pattern of lines. The first line is most of the time longer, second line again goes shorter, then the third line is again very longer. And this type of situation we will be able to find throughout the lines that we shall be reading in this section of the video. Well, look at the words, then see Before the thrust of this liberating wind, whatever is not fixed has a place to go. The poet indicates the very first thing that there is something powerful, and that powerful thing apparently is wind, and it's liberating wind. That means it's got the power to liberate or to free the things which are fixed. So the poet says whatever is not fixed has to go somewhere because of the thrust of this wind. Here it reminds me to West Wind by Shelley. He says under the influence and power of wind, many leaves and many other things move, and that is why this is having some kind of influence on him. Same was the case with Wordsworth also, when he talked about the prelude in the poem Prelude, that the wind was blowing very fast and powerful, and it was creating in him another type of wind as well. So the poet is utilizing the similar effects, that because of this the thing changes inside, outside, because of the powerfulness of the wind. And the last line says, the trains northwards to the coniferous lands. He says that this wind is not stopping at one place, it definitely goes to the other places also. Ultimately, its journey is so strong that it reaches to the northern areas, the hilly mountains as well. Some of the people have pointed out that this poem is apparently about the phenomenon of rain, but actually it is about the history of Pakistan 1940s, when the movement for liberation of Pakistan was done, and that movement was so strong that it was blowing everywhere and everybody was feeling its effect, and ultimately it was stretching from the center of India to the north of the places which we know as KPK and Gilgit-Baltistan, etc. So the mountainous areas there where it is going on. So that is the spread and scatter of Pakistan according to the political history of that time. So this is the type of poem you are coming across, that it has got the images of rain. Symbolically, it means something which is related to the political history of Pakistan. This thing should be mentioned by the students all the way when they write the critical appreciation of this poem. And then let's go to the second section. It says, and drunk with motion, clothes on the washing line are raised above themselves, a flapping sheet turns a roof corner into a battlement. According to the poet, when the air blows very fast at that time, the clothes which have been washed by the washing machine, and then these clothes have been put on the line of the clothes so that it may be dried up. And these clothes are feeling the impact of this, powerful wind, and that is making them flap here and there. And ultimately, the poet imagines that it's a kind of battleground which is created on the roof because of the powerfulness of the wind, battleground between the clothes. And the people have also pointed out that it is because the Pakistan movement's effect and the struggle was spreading here and there. It was spreading in the streets also, and that is why it says that everything has become battleground for freedom. So symbolically and politically speaking, this is the type of thing that one can imagine about, that it's related to the history of Pakistan movement also. But actually, what we are finding here, that's a pre-rain phenomenon. First, the wind has started to blow. The power of the wind has been shown in the first three lines. Then the second three lines show its manifestation. One of the manifestation is the movement of the clothes which go up and down because of the rain. So, image of the clothes has been created. The movement of that force is created also because of the movement of the clothes. So in that way, we are getting the blowing of the air. The first six lines are about the blowing of the air, the manifestation of the blowing of the air, the power of the wind that has been used by the poet. This part of the poem also shows the same thing, no regular rhyme scheme, and then it comes, the lines, differences there, three lines in this section also. Well, if we talk about some kind of alliteration, the repetition of the sounds, for example, it's very difficult to find any type of repetition, but still, if we try to do the thing with great effort, definitely, possibly, it may be so. For example, in the second line, it is are raised, ra sound repeated, above themselves a flapping sheet. Again, we are unable to find any kind of repetition. Our third line turns a roof corner. So ra sound is again repeated. This is the type of repetition that one can find. Consonance possibly is there, but assonance and alliterations, this thing is lacking in the poem. Okay, let's move on to the lines of section 7 to 9 lines. Gliding days are over. The birds are tossed sideways and back and lifted against their will. They must struggle to achieve direction. Another phenomena has been discussed here in the form of the birds, that when the air is blowing very fast, the birds cannot move easily and comfortably in the air. Instead of that, they have to make special struggle in order to maintain their position. But the power of the wind is so strong that they are unable to do so, and that's why they are struggling to keep the direction they want to go. So here also another manifestation of the power of the wind is being shown. Image of the flying birds is being created, and that image is showing the power of the wind and the struggle of the birds against that wind. And political history may be showing to us that birds are the individuals, human beings, who are under the struggle of freedom, and they are making lots of efforts in order to maintain their struggle or to go along with the movement whatever is taking place. So politically, this stanza also is very much, not the stanza but section of the lines is very important with respect to that movement as well. However, the image of the birds and the struggle of the birds against the wind, their different directions and positions, that also goes to show very interesting type of image in the poem which is created. So a particular type of situation of pre-rain phenomena is being talked about, how the things come. This was the air, and let's see what next happens. Now it is the darkness which is caused because of the clouds. A welcome darkness descends, harsh contours dissolve, lose their prosaic condition, all the sounds we have loved are restored. Now what happens? That because of the clouds, when the clouds mingle together, they are so dark clouds that it has created some type of darkness, and the poet says that the contours, the edges, the sides of the clouds is dismantling, and they are dissolving into one cloud and creating a similar type of situation. No changes into that prosaic condition, that is similar. A rough type of situation is being created. No music, no difference, no ups and downs, but the same one. He says the sounds have started to come. These sounds, which are the sound of thundering, lightning, they are coming, and then the rain falling sound, possibly, that is, he says all these sounds are loved by the human being, and this is being restored because of the rain. So mention of the clouds, first of all it was air, now it is the cloud, and that is what is happening. It is again the pre-raining activity, but reaching very culminating point where this activity will stop and actually rain will start to come. So let's see what else is meant by the poet. Well, this is type of rain, type of activity all over the world. So in this way, when the poet is highlighting the rain situation in Pakistan, that is almost a similar kind of situation all over the world when rain comes. But monsoon is a different type of rain that comes towards the Pakistan areas, probably in South Asia only, not in the European and Western countries. So on the one angle, the poem is very much largely related to the biggest phenomena of arrival of rain, and on the other hand it goes to talk about specific country, Pakistan and its areas, where we can get the kind of difference which the people feel because of the arrival of this monsoon. The next section is from 13 to 15 number line. And now the rain in sudden sequoia that sweeps the street, and equally sudden are the naked boys paddling in the ditches. This this section of lines is very important, because here the rain probably had started to come, and it's so sharp, so heavy, that it has filled the streets altogether. The filling of the streets altogether has been indicated by using the word sweep the streets. And equally certain are the naked boys. And secondly, the impact of that, the influence of that, is that the naked boys come up and they are now around the ditches of small ditches of water, and they are there in out. So the sudden sequels goes to indicate the heaviness of the rain, and then the streets are filled up with water and the boys have come up, and the naked boys definitely goes to indicate very much Pakistani culture, that when it rains we come outside in order to take part, in order to take bath in the rain. So very much Pakistani culture, Pakistani style of enjoying of the rain has been pointed out. So the thing which had started with the air, in the first three lines it started to affect the things, clothes, then the birds, and ultimately the clouds were formed, is culminating into the falling of the rain, and the human beings are now included into that. Four types of things, for example, air first of all, then the pressure of the air, then the birds, then it comes to the human beings with water. It's similar kind of start as Chaucer has made the start in his poem Prologue to the Canterbury Tales. If you look at the first page of the prologue, you find the similar situation, that air, water, rain, birds, and ultimately the human being. So this is the type of thing done in order to show us. This image is very much beautiful image. We can imagine about the small boys, naked boys, who have come out to take bath in the rain waters. Okay. The next one. 16 to 18 number line. From round waters eddying round their hooves, the drenched trees rise and shake themselves, and summer ends in flurry of drops. Here is another image of the trees, as the picture also shows that the trees are absorbing some type of rain, and on their clothes some drop, on their leaves some drops of rain are present, and these drops definitely are the drops which are looking very beautiful on the leaves, and if you move those trees, definitely these drops would fall down. So in that way, a different kind of rain is expected from these drops from these trees when the trees make the movement. So that's the most beautiful image, and it can be related to Frost also, Robert Frost, the American poet, because he too talks about the trees mostly enough in his poems, and he would like to climb up the tree and then come down on the branches of the trees, and if it's rained, it would be easy to fall the rain downwards as well. So in this way, the very beautiful image of the tree full of raindrops and then it is dropping down, that has been discussed by the poet in order to show what beauty does lie in the falling of the rain. So this stanza is again something which goes to talk about the beautiful image of the rain. The next set is showing the happiness of the people. For example, the poet says, Alice alive, everything is alive again. This is the line where the word sound ah is repeated 3 times, so alliteration is there. Alice alive and again alive. This is the type of consonant sounds also repeated, and then assonant sounds are also repeated. But only few, just 1 or 2 lines, not all. For example, the next line says, savor the rain's coolness on lips and eyes. So again, coolness, rains, savor, coolness, lips and eyes, all combined together to give a consonant effect of sa sound. How madly the electric wire is swinging, and that again brings the power of the rain and the power of the air also, that the electric wire is also moving up and down, and that is also showing the impact of the rain. Whatever the rain has come, it is causing this type of impact. So the poet is using images, symbols, poet is using number of ideas to convey us the feeling of the rain, and that rain which is causing number of effects upon the people. First it was the human being, and now it is again the machine, that is the live wire, and the human beings laughing and feeling happy. Alice is an imaginary person whose lips are being talked about, whose face and whose body is being talked about. That it's also very happy because of all that. The face is very shining, the lips are very cool, and eyes are good, and that is what because of all that. So symbolically speaking, we can also say that when rain comes, life is revived, cleanliness and dust is removed, cleanliness comes, and as a result, people become happier, feeling all the time very good because of the rain. Now, similar thing can be applied at the political level also. That when the Pakistan movement was created, it was a lot of hustle and bustle and problematic. But later on, when it has finished, Pakistan was established. At that time, everything looked fresh, just in the same way as the rain would come and the things would become fresh also. So in that way, this is the type of stanza where we see number of things happening good in order to convey the feeling of happiness also. And therefore, the poem has ended, and no need to talk about certain things about the poem. For example, first of all, the theme of the poem. We can very well imagine that the theme is going to be the theme about the beauty of nature, the shape of the rain, and the things of phenomena are associated with that. So in that way, this is the rain theme, this is the nature theme first of all, and later on, it is the socio-political situation of the human beings as well. And similarly, if we talk of the culture is definitely Pakistani. Monsoon comes here, it's a Pakistan movement, all these things talk about, and the things which are talked, the persons which are introduced in the poem, that is most of the time Pakistani, and nature as well. Images are many. For example, you have found that the image of the clothes flying because of the rain power, the image of the birds flying, the image of the boys, naked boys, then the image of the trees with the raindrops, and the image of the beauty and the happiness of human being in the shape of the lips and eyes, that are the images used. Symbolically speaking, the poem can be interpreted on many levels, that it goes to indicate nature's benignness, it goes to indicate the beauty of nature also, it goes to indicate the happiness of human being, it goes to indicate the freshness which comes because of the rain. But alongside that, we can also talk about the symbolic interpretation on the level of politics, history of Pakistan also, that this thing was happening because of the issues used by the poet. Then the rhyme scheme, definitely it's missing, it's not there. There are no regular lines or regular stanza formation, it is only the free poem, free verse. The style of the poet is very beautiful and very good, because in very simple language the poet has conveyed the meaning to us. It's not that difficult, as most of the time English poetry is going to be difficult. It's easy, it's written in Pakistani idiom. The language of the master has been employed, and that's why it makes it the part of the Anglophone poetry, which is the part of the post-colonial poetry as well. We can add, however, that it is the success of the poet that he is capable of using the language of the master in Pakistani style, and using in its own way in order to highlight the different cultural aspects of the Pakistani life, and getting some beauty out of that, describing the nature, beautiful nature also, that everything is done by this poet. This is some of the good characteristics of this poet that we have come across. So if the students add all these things, and talking about the poet, and later on highlighting important images, and explanation of the symbols and certain technical aspects, as I have talked about in this slide, if the students include all that, give their final verdict whether the poem is good or bad, in the sense that it conveys the meaning, whether it is able to convey, or it is capable of at a higher level it becomes the part of the history of the human beings in specific Pakistani, and in general all human beings, that they enjoy the rain, and after that the struggle is over and beauty comes. And all these things combined together, if we write, it is also relevant to the age, rather it's relevant to all the ages. So if the message is universal, its appeal is universal, and acceptability is universal, and it is very much in line with other poets of Pakistan also. They also write in the same way, short, beautiful, crispy poems, and about the life and culture of Pakistan. So therefore it's very much related to that. And here we come to the close of this whole video, and thank you very much for watching. Hope to see you in some next video. Well, if you like the poem, if you understand something, do not fail to hit the subscribe and the like button, and comment also if you like to. So thank you for watching. Hope to see you in some next video.